did involve a particular sort of model of the brain in which they were able to predict at what rate these events would be occurring according to some formula that Penrose had worked out. And they were able to make the model give a reasonable prediction of something in the order of milliseconds for each event to occur. And this was taken to be some validation of their model. But you don't need to go to all that route if you just look at well, I don't know. That's a model, and I think is highly unnecessary. That you don't need.
And then Tegmark obviously came up with some ideas about warm, wet brains, showing that physics really don't quite get you there with that model.
Yeah, there've been a lot of technical objections to that model, and so.
That's the big point, is that the quantum Zeno effect, there's nothing about a warm, wet brain that causes any physical problems with the operation of the quantum Zeno effect. That turns out to be a very important point in addressing some of the obvious questions that people ask. I mean, now we're at the end. You're asking the hard questions, not to be obvious. I was obvious. You weren't asking a hard question. You said something, and I said, let's ask the hard question that was under it. But the Hameroff Penrose model really does not operate in a warm, wet brain. The quantum Zeno effect is not in any way undermined by a warm, wet brain.
That's right.
And finally,
and the jazz thing, I mean, let's just say really fast. I mean, Charlie Parker. I mean, or Coltrane. He knows that I'm a big fan of Coltrane, and the great improvisers, and obviously there's no need to name, Gillespie, whoever you want. I mean, yes, this model, of course, has a lot to do, and the statement before about the metastable brain state is wonderful for this, because I mean they've actually analyzed Charlie Parker, and there's like a couple of hundred, which is a lot, of different action templates that he was kind of working around, and so that's a very large number of action templates that, yes, does reduce down to, I think, 10 or 12 even more basic, chordal structures, etc. But then, when he's playing, there really is a cloud of possibilities, and he allows his internal connectivity with the sound that he hears to influence the flow of his breath and the movement of his fingers, and so there's a element of predictability in it, but there's this, it's a very good model, and it's probably not just a model at a certain point for understanding this issue of probability clouds in human action is the working of a great jazz musician. And what's happening at the instant, at the moment, as they actualize these clouds of possibilities into realities that they don't even know what's going to happen. And they can't reproduce themselves, at least not, they can't play the same thing exactly twice.
Yeah, I think that overall today's lecture was kind of one giant step towards
that was really nicely done.
More substantial wisdom, and I mean, we all know how actually, the whole tradition of wisdom of human culture and science got separated at one point, and it's just a question how they will be reunited again. And are there any more questions? Maybe.
Okay, I want to thank all you, I really appreciate it. I mean, to stick it out the whole thing, and I mean, it's great to know that at UC San Francisco Medical Center, we have a couple of dozen hardcores. It's nice to know.
Thank you guys for coming. Let's greet the speakers again.